Hi guys, from this lesson we will try to work mostly on real data sets, except some of the features in the future, which are going to be explained separately. To make it short, from this lesson on, our tutorials will be more interesting because we are going to already deal with real world data sets. So in this lesson we will read or import the ready dataset and explain the first steps towards it. Let's first create a new file and call it read datasets. Call it read datasets. Now I will try to import the data that I have already downloaded on my file. Here I am right now inside of my Pandas folder. If I go back here, one step back, you could see that inside of this road I have a data folder where I have downloaded this file here, and a couple of files I'm going to use in this tutorial. This one, population by country, this sample superstore, and this crystal Excel files is going to be used in this tutorial. So first I will give the link to these files here. If you go to my GitHub account, I will put this link to the description below. You could download all of these files in a simple way, or I can even send you to the official website, Kaggle website, which is a very useful platform for the data specialists, from where you can just get registered and can download or use the real world datasets and increase your even employment opportunity by solving and sharing your abilities. Just keep in mind that this website is defined for data analysts. Just let's close these links. Don't worry about the source code, I will put it in the description below. So first let's try to import the data. In order to import it, I will first import the library called Pandas as PD here and shift run it. After running it, I will do what? I will try to give a variable and alias, pandas alias, and try to use a keyword called read CSV. First we will read the read CSV file. What is a CSV file? CSV is a comma separated values file where data is stored to a file and separated with comma. Here, if I go to this file, population 2020 country, you could see that all these elements are separated by a comma here. I will close this file here, and now if I just type in shift and tab, you could see that this is the syntax of this read CSV file. It might look a bit complex. Don't worry about it. We will just go from simple towards the hard syntax. So let's first, in order to access this file, I am right now inside of this pandas folder. This ready datasets is this file. If I go one step back, I can easily access this data here. In order to go back one step, I will type in 2 dots and 1 slash. And after, this is the syntax of going back. After going back one step, I am located in this road, and here I can type in the data and access after the data this file here, population by country file. I have already accessed it. If I print it out, df variable, you could see that it will output the result. It will import all the data which are located in these CSV files. I have already explained what the CSV file is, a comma separated file. If I just type in the separation keyword and type in the comma, the result will be the same, because read CSV function takes this argument as a default parameter. And here even I can do what? I can include, if I have these or column names, I can even make these columns or header none if I want. but we don't need it right now. It is just a clear way of showing it how we could get rid of these columns here. Or if I type in the 3 and run it, it would count all data from the third row here. Okay, but we don't need it right now. I just showed you the syntax of using it. Okay, and now instead of these CSV files, we could even use Excel or TXT files. That's not a problem. Okay, what are these three dots here? This is just the smart pandas. It's just escaping to fill the interface with all this data. Actually, the data has been imported without problem, but this is just shows you the header and the tail of your data here. But don't worry about your data is in place. If we want to see all of our data, including all the rows or all the columns, we could include the parameters like that. If I want to set all these data and display them, I will type in the pd set option, and then I will type in inside of the blob display max rows or columns. Let's first start with columns, max alt/columns underscore columns, and then here I will type in the none. If I click alt enter, it will print all these columns here, but we don't have a lot of columns. That's why we are not able to see that it has made the change. But for rows, if I type in the rows here and click enter, it will print all these rows here without a problem. You could see even we could assign or give a limit here. If I type in the 5 instead of the none and click alt enter, it will just print out 5 rows including the headers and the tails here. For columns also it works like that. Columns, type in 5, click shift enter, you could see it will print 5 columns here. Sometimes you might have a separator as a tab. In order to read this separator, you will have to type in this kind of \t here, small t. Let's make it example. Let's just delete it, and otherwise it's any case it works without problems. I will just copy this link here and try to read what this file here, txt file. In order to read it, first again the root is the same, and instead of this file I will copy this one and paste it instead of this one. After pasting it, if I call this data frame here, you could see it will print out the result wrongly because it has a separator tab, not a comma. But if I want to import it properly, I will have to give a separator called t. T basically means the tab delimiter here, and you could see that it will print out it without problems. It will print 5 columns because we have already set this option. If I comment it out and read it again, by default refresh it first and read it again, it should import all of our data. Just a minute. First I will import this pandas library and then this data here. You could see that it has imported our data without problems, but we could even print as many columns as we want by adding them after the comma here. If I want to print the column names, only the specific column names here, like country, city. I can do it easily by typing use calls equals inside of the list. I will type in what inside of the list. I will type in the country. Click enter. You could see it will print out the column name only with country, or two column names called country and city. These use calls are come in handy in that way. We can even define the index column or column name as an index. Let's see that I have just this. I will cut it again, run it, and I want this country to be as an index here. In order to do it like that, I will type in the pd read csv, the name again, these paths here, and then after the comma I will type in index column s equals what. Let's see that this country will be as an index here. Instead of these zero numbers, these pandas automatic numbers here, I will type in the country as an index here. And if I just run this code, it will print an error. Why? Because invalid country, invalid. It will say that country is invalid. Okay, the problem might be with reading it. First, separator should be included here. T backslash, click enter. You could see that our country names has been as an index here. Sometimes you might need to skip first row or skip couple of rows. If you want to skip it, you could just add in the skip rows here. Skip rows, type in the how many rows you want to skip. Let's see that I have a new Albania here as a first row. If I type in the 3 here or 4 and click run, it will again print an error. Index country invalid. Why? Because skip rows won't work with the index here. If I type in again the skip rows 4, it would count all rows from this Decatur city instead of the original. Which one? New Albany. You could see Decatur will be the first row. Sometimes these skip rows also would come in handy. Okay, sometimes we will need to convert. Let's run this data here. Sometimes we will have to change the data types of these numbers here. We haven't covered the data types, but I will just give an example of this. Let's see that I have this column called population 2020. I will copy it, and I will just want to check the data type of this column. In order to check it, I will access this column, and here I will just type in the D type and click enter. It will say that I have this column has an integer data type, but if I want to change it, I will have to type in the D type here. I can easily do it by typing the D type equals, and here inside of the curly brackets I will first type in the name of the column, and then after the column inside of the quotes I will type in what? The data type here. If I run it and run it again, it will change the data type of our column here. You will see